This year, jurors could hear an AI clone of Yost's voice, which prosecutors displayed in a hearing a few months ago.
Did you know this person?
No.
At that time? You'd never met him before?
Never.
Lovell's new sentencing hearing was pushed back after his lead defense attorney withdrew from the case in March. Today, prosecutors and Lovell's new counsel worked through plans for that new sentencing hearing, which is now scheduled to happen in August. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. Today, President Trump told reporters he's not satisfied with the latest peace proposal from Iran. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
The president says the latest proposal from Tehran has them asking for things he can't accept.
They want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it.
He says Iran's leaders are disjointed.
They're having a tremendous problem getting along with each other.
Amid the ongoing ceasefire, President Trump acknowledged he has been briefed on options for resuming the fight.
I mean, do we want to go and just blast the hell out of him and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Trump says on a human basis he'd prefer the latter. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Now some congressional members are calling for the War Powers Act to be initiated. That means Congress would have to vote to allow the continued military action in Iran because the 60-day deadline has passed. But President Trump says he won't be seeking the approval of Congress for the war.
So many presidents, as you know, have gone and exceeded it. It's never been used. It's never been adhered to. And every other president considered it totally unconstitutional, and we agree with that.
Meantime, as the war continues, gas prices continue to go up and up. Oil this week still trading at well over $100 a barrel. And here in Utah, you will pay $4.39 a gallon at the pump, up 2 more cents from yesterday. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 78 points, sitting at 49,573. However, S&P up by 29, and the NASDAQ gets up by 234 points, nearly a full percent. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon, Maria. Looking at a little bit of slow traffic northbound I-15 from about 21st South to about 9th South, and then again in North Salt Lake at the North Interchange. And we also have a crash in West Valley. This is going from westbound on the 201 freeway to go northbound on Bangerter Highway on the right. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Nice mild weather as we head into the weekend. Today's high 67. Tomorrow a high of 74 degrees and a slight chance of showers on Sunday evening, but the high 77 degrees. 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Mother's Day is right around the corner, and J&J Garden Center in Layton has everything you need to make Mom's Day bloom. Right now, the greenhouses are full of vibrant flowers, beautiful hanging baskets, and colorful plants that make the perfect gift for Mom. Choose from stunning hanging baskets and 4.5-inch seed geraniums, both 20% off during the Mother's Day celebration at J&J Garden Center. Or brighten her garden with beautiful bedding plants that will bring color to her yard all season long. Whether Mom loves tending her garden or simply enjoys fresh flowers on the patio, you'll find something she'll love at J&J Garden Center. Stop by, explore the greenhouses, and pick out the perfect blooms to celebrate the moms in your life. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and make this Mother's Day one that truly blossoms. J&J Garden Center.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. One of the biggest traffic trouble spots along the entire Wasatch Front finally getting some relief this weekend. Utah's Department of Transportation announcing today that a 4.5-mile stretch of Pioneer Crossing between Lehigh and Saratoga Springs is getting an extra lane in each direction. Joining me now live in studio is KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. So Heather, give us the details.
Well, Maria, this stretch of road has been a huge problem for commuters who live on the northwest side of Utah County. And I asked our traffic reporter, Ricky Meese, to tell us more about the congestion the traffic center has been seeing in this area over the past few years.
Well, in recent years, we've seen an explosion of growth in Utah County, particularly on the west side of I-15. There's more space with land and building options, more affordable housing, including starter homes. These and other factors have enticed builders and businesses to set up roots in the areas like Saratoga Springs, the Ranches, and Eagle Mountain. And with all this growth comes a lot more vehicles on the roads. Redwood Road and now Mountain View Corridor both have really helped, along with I-15, to go north and southbound. However, going eastbound and westbound, that's still been really rough, even a nightmare at times. So, to go west of I-15, drivers have been using 2100 North Lehigh and Pioneer Crossing. Both have had construction for quite a while, and that limits access because of lane closures and reduced speeds. So on a regular basis, traffic gets backed up and slow, and this has been going on for months. All it takes is one crash to bring it to a standstill, leaving drivers just stuck there until they can get that crash cleared.
So UDOT said they're going to open the new lanes on Monday, which is 2 months ahead of schedule thanks to Utah's dry winter.
Okay, that's good news. So tell us about the change. What differences will drivers see along the corridor?
So Monday is the big unveiling of the new lanes. It's going to go from 2 lanes in each direction to 3. UDOT spokesperson John Gleason says this is going to make a big difference for the commute times.
We're anticipating that drivers are going to be able to save more than 6 minutes each day in travel time. And overall, the flex lanes, once they're completed later this year, they're going to reduce congestion by more than 900 hours each day for people on their commute. And then ultimately during peak travel times, drivers are going to have up to 4 lanes in that peak direction. So in the morning, it'll be eastbound lanes that will have four lanes, and in the evening, it's going to be those westbound lanes that will have 4 lanes, and then you'll have 2 lanes in the opposite direction. And that's really going to help improve the commutes. If we were to do nothing, looking at the travel times, they would increase significantly by, in another 10 years. The evening westbound travel on Pioneer Crossing, that would increase from 19 minutes today to about 32 minutes. And then the morning commute would be 14 minutes to 20 minutes. And so this is going to significantly improve that situation.
And these flex lanes he mentioned will be implemented toward the end of the year. But starting May 10th, they'll have some overnight closures so they can install the overhead lights for that project. So here's what it looks like for those who might not be as familiar with flex lanes.
Say that a majority of people are traveling one direction to get to work in the morning. If it's eastbound, we want to be able to adjust those lanes. So you'll see green lights on all of those lanes that are moving in the direction of traffic. And so then you'll see red X's on those lanes that are you're not able to use. So you'll have the green checks on the lanes that you can use, and then the red X's on the lanes that are going in the other direction.
And Gleason says flex lanes have been highly effective in Utah in the past, like in Taylorsville on 5400 South, which has been using flex lanes successfully for more than 13 years now.
All right. Thank you, Heather. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson joining me live in the studio. And like she said, the new lanes on Pioneer Crossing will be open starting Monday. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Did you know Utah State University is home to one of the nation's leading centers for disability research and advocacy? At the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice, we work side by side with Utahns with disabilities, their families, and community partners to make our state more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Our researchers, educators, and advocates partner with family service providers and policymakers to create real lasting change. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to live, learn, work, and play in our communities. From helping children reach their potential in early intervention programs, to building accessible technologies, to improving mental health and employment supports, our work touches every corner of the state. The Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice is the only disability-focused research center in the state of Utah. That means we're Utah's home for innovation, data-driven policy, and community solutions that make life better for people with disabilities. Find us at idrpp.usu.edu.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
The State Health Department now looking into claims about several people who contracted Parkinson's disease in the same West Valley City neighborhood. Frank Corrigan was looking into the cause of his wife's Parkinson's disease when he found out that several others in the neighborhood where she grew up also had it. Epidemiologist Sidney Christiansen says that he wanted to know if there is a correlation or if it's coincidence. So now state officials are investigating it.
His wife has Parkinson's disease, I should say, and they were essentially noticing that other people in the community had Parkinson's disease, and which I'm sure many people are like, oh, yes, I see it now, when they first experience something like that. And so he was aware of it, which is fantastic, and he started to take some initiative and connecting with people that had Parkinson's disease in their community and just asking them, how long they've lived there, from my understanding, obviously. And then he was like, oh, this may be something that the Department of Health and Human Services should be interested in. Maybe I should tag them into this. And so from then on, he emailed us, and we've just kind of been looking at things since.
Christiansen says they got the request to investigate mid-April. She says it will take several months to look into the data, including variables such as smoking.
Any chronic disease has lots of different factors that contribute to it. It could be something just like aging, that there's not really much we can do about it. But there can also be risk factors like smoking or, working in a specific location that impacts it and that we could potentially do something about. So there's a lot of different variables, and that's what's really difficult sometimes with chronic diseases, is because they take place over time. There's so many things we're exposed to throughout life. And so narrowing all those things down, pointing it into one specific direction is sometimes really difficult to nail down.
She tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi they hope to have a better idea if there's some sort of correlation sometime in July. She also says the research into Parkinson's is fairly new, so the more data collected, the better.
However, we are trying to collect as much data as we can through the Utah Parkinson's Disease Registry so that we have the opportunity in the future to answer questions like that. And Utah has the highest Parkinson's disease death rate in the U.S. And it's just really interesting that we have been the leader for almost a decade in that. And we have this Utah Parkinson's Disease Registry to hopefully be able to be a front runner in Parkinson's disease research, in understanding Parkinson's disease, so that we can help individuals like that community member's wife understand what their risks are, and if they have an elevated risk due to living in a certain area or working in a certain occupation or many of those other things. If individuals with Parkinson's disease are interested, we would love for them to include their data in the Utah Parkinson's Disease Registry so that in the future, when we have questions like that, we have an effective data tool that we can use and see how much this rate is increasing compared to other years or other times or other people even.
Sydney Christiansen is an epidemiologist with the Utah Health Department. After the break.
So they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it, so we'll see what happens. Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it.
The latest on Iran's proposals to end the war, even as President Trump says it's not good enough. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Michelle?
Overall, I-15 running smoothly, but I am seeing some thick and slow traffic northbound between South Salt Lake headed into downtown, and then eastbound on I-80 between Bangerter Highway and the West Belt. Super Trees in Riverton is Utah's most unique tree, plants, pottery, gifts, and more with weekly truckloads of new trees and plants. Receive 10% off this month. Visit Riverton location or supertrees.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
When American troops withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, thousands of evacuees fled to the U.S. for protection. Many Americans welcomed their new neighbors.
For the last week, the governor tells me his office has been getting calls nonstop with Utahns wanting to help.
When we saw the pictures and the videos coming out of Afghanistan, we prayed to be able to help them.
But then, what happened? Listen to Stranger Becomes Neighbor, wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
War in Iran.
President Trump says he's not satisfied with Iran's latest proposal to end the war. News Nation's Robert Sherman has more on the president's disappointment with the Middle Eastern country.
He's not thrilled with the status of these talks at this juncture and what Iran has been saying, going so far as a few moments ago to say Iran is asking for things that he simply can't give them, not happy with the latest proposal. And while the talks are continuing on and there are conversations continuing to take place, we heard him cast doubt on these deals, these conversations getting fully across the finish line. Here's what he said just moments ago.
Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied. They've made strides, but I'm not sure if they ever get there. And it's a very disjointed leadership. And with that being said, they all want to make a deal, but they're all messed up.
You heard him there saying they've made strides, but he's not sure if they ever get there. They're very disjointed. He's talked about that in the past, the divides in Iran between the more pragmatic moderates and the more hardlining positions that exist inside of Iran. But he basically said that there are two options, either make a deal or he's prepared to escalate the situation militarily. For the time being, you've seen that U.S. naval blockade being in place, and Iran has acknowledged it is having an impact, with the president saying the world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and conciliation. What is being done under the guise of a naval blockade is an extension of military operations against a nation, paying the price for its resistance and independence. Continuation of this aggressive approach is intolerable. The president did praise Pakistan for their mediating efforts, but also said that at this point, unlikely another delegation heads to Islamabad, anticipating all these conversations are just going to take place by phone.
That is News Nation's Robert Sherman. The Senate voted yesterday to reject a war powers resolution for the sixth time by a 47-50 vote. Senator John Curtis says the war powers resolution of 1973 is clear that President Trump did have authority to initiate military action in defense of American lives and interests. But he told the Deseret News that military action must wind down unless Congress gives authorization for war. Senator Curtis says he's currently in talks with other senators to determine the future of Congress's role in this ongoing conflict. Betting on racehorses has been a thing for decades now, but it's largely unregulated. You're able to bet in person on the horses in tomorrow's Kentucky Derby, but you won't be able to do it on prediction markets. News Nation's Xavier Walton has more.
High stakes, fast horses, billions of dollars on the line, but people, looking to get in on the action using prediction markets are being sidelined, essentially because the racetrack said so. As of this morning, neither Kalshi nor Polymarket had a market up for the winner of Saturday's Kentucky Derby. Polymarket, briefly posted one last week, but took it down after Churchill Downs asked for it to be removed. Money, yes, it is an issue, but it's also a legal issue, too. Horse racing is not regulated like most other, sports betting. It has its own federal law, the Interstate Horse Racing Act of 1978, which says, no person may accept an interstate off-track wager except as provided by federal law. So that law basically gives racetracks, state racing commissions, and other, racing stakeholders final say over who can take bets. And obviously we reached out to Kalshi, we reached out to Polymarket. Kalshi said they're not commenting on it. Polymarket, they still haven't gotten back to us yet, but no action for prediction markets in the Kentucky Derby.
Now, if you need a little motivation to get into the Derby this weekend, here's something for you. One of the horses set to race was actually raised here in Utah.
Pavlovian will be racing in the 16th pole position at the Churchill Downs course Saturday. Equine agent John Brocklebank tells the St. George News the horse has trained at his camp in Hurricane. He says it's been amazing watching an athlete like Pavlovian being built. Pavlovian is going into the Derby with 10 races completed, 2 wins, and 4 second-place finishes. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
First race is scheduled for tomorrow at 9 in the morning, our time, 11 a.m. back in Kentucky. The top horse and the betting favorite so far is named Renegade. Not everybody's brain works the same way. 3 siblings didn't understand that when they were kids, but they do now. And they've made it their mission to support others who might feel alone because of who they are. KSL's Peter Rosen has more.
You got to beat a 15.
In the basement of a small retail building,
Feywild because he turned into a giant red dragon.
Oh, that's awesome.
10-year-old Sawyer Durst can be herself.
The little Fey dragon looks up at you.
Her name is Tisiphone.
Even if that means being a creature called a tiefling.
A tall creature with like horns and a tail.
But your dragonborn is going to go up there.
In a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's really fun to like think of like things that don't exist but that they could exist like in a different world.
That's just what the Sweeney siblings,
I'm Scott.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Sean.
had in mind when they opened the Geekery.
We wanted to create a space where kids felt like they could be themselves.
Did you feel like you couldn't?
No.
As kids, they say they felt different, into things
Dungeons and Dragons, creative writing, cartooning.
that other kids weren't. Smart, but not always doing well in school.
Yeah, we were told we had so much potential, we were so smart, we were all these things, but we just couldn't execute.
It was a big mystery. I thought there was something wrong with me.
And complicating those feelings,
What I remember most is playing with my brothers.
coming from a family with a real resume. Their grandfather was Governor Scott Matheson. One uncle served in Congress, another's now on the federal bench. And more than a few in their family know the Ivy League names as more than just street signs.
Many of them attended amazing schools, but I never thought I could do that.
You felt different.
I felt different. I felt definitely different.
They were adults when each was diagnosed with ADHD.
Yes, absolutely.
All three of us. We were definitely all very neurodivergent.
Front desk.
And thinking back,
Wishing we had something like this when we were kids.
Teach writing. We'll come out here and we'll play chess on these cushions.
inspired them to launch this after-school program.
The D&D room right now, which is occupied by a class. Dodge and like get out of the way as this like massive creature hits it.
Tell me about Scott.
He's the dungeon master. He's basically like the storyteller.
He's like, what, you guys, you didn't bring your own giant bag of hot chocolate?
He can like make the characters like become more alive in your head.
We teach theater, sketch comedy, improv. Hey, I'm your transfer pilot. Don't ask how I got here. You start to see them come out of the shell and find their own voice.
Hello, we are in Utah, Salt Lake.
The siblings say one place they did let their geek flag fly.
We used to make a lot of home videos as kids. That was a very safe place for us.
They kept to themselves.
Perception!
But here, Sawyer can be a tiefling.
You can be whoever you want to be.
And proud of it.
It's really fun to watch these really shy kids come in and then just see them like kind of come to life.
The confidence to walk through this world exactly as they are. The next generation of geeks.
Sarah Sweeney signing off.
Bye. See you later.
Peter Rosen, KSL 5 News.
You can get more information on the Geekery by going to thegeekery.com. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The longest government shutdown is now over thanks to President Trump's signature. We'll go in depth on what's in the funding bill for DHS and what's not. Soil testing to see if your dirt has high levels of lead is available for free this weekend. I'll explain in about 15 minutes. And KSL traffic, Michelle.
A crash blocking center lanes at the S-curves in Provo southbound. Maria?
It's going to be a very nice weekend. Tomorrow's high 74, 77 on Sunday. Just a very slight chance of showers late on Sunday. But then Monday, things changing. We could see some storms. 64 downtown.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. 60 days since the U.S. attacked Iran, and the White House tells Congress the conflict is over. ABC's Selena Wang says that's the White House response to the War Powers Resolution, which calls on the president to get congressional approval for any military action after 60 days.
President Trump in this letter, as well as his administration officials, have been arguing that this 60-day clock doesn't apply to them. The president writing in this letter that, quote, the hostilities have terminated as part of this broader argument that the ceasefire that started on April 7th has essentially paused the clock here.
But President Trump told reporters today he's considering renewing military strikes after describing Iran's latest offer as unsatisfactory. The Wall Street Journal reports that Spirit Airlines is preparing to cease operations. President Trump said that he's still considering a government bailout for the airline. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. UDOT says it's going to open one additional lane in each direction on Pioneer Crossing between Lehigh and Saratoga Springs 2 months ahead of schedule. The change will go into effect on Monday. This should significantly improve traffic moving through one of the most congested roads in Utah County. The road will continue to be under construction through the rest of the year as it is turned into flex lanes. Other local stories KSL is following. 13 Utah counties have been designated as natural disaster areas. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
These counties are being singled out for their extreme drought conditions. A majority of them are in the southern half of the state, but it's not limited to the region. Northern counties including Wasatch, Duchesne, Tooele, and Uinta are also on the list. This designation is actually a good thing for the state overall. It allows the Farm Service Agency to extend emergency loans to these areas, providing relief for those areas recovering from natural disasters, or in Utah's case, drought. The loans can be used to help the county recover in multiple ways, like buying new equipment, livestock, or refinancing. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A man was attacked while walking his dogs, and Layton police are looking for answers. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has the story.
Police say the attack Tuesday night was unprovoked. They say the suspect struck the victim several times and stole a knife that the victim was trying to defend himself with. It happened near Hillfield Road and Antelope Drive, and Layton Police Lieutenant Clint Bobrowski says they're working on canvassing the area and using surveillance footage to piece this story together.
The victim did not sustain serious injuries, and they don't believe that there's a continued threat to the area. This week was a busy one for Congress with a visit from King Charles and multiple important bills, including funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Representative Celeste Malloy was on the Hill this week, and she told Inside Sources about the end of the historic government shutdown.
A lot of the ICE reforms they said they wanted were already in the bill. Some people dug in too early before they had read it, but as with all things political, once you've dug yourself in, it's hard to get back out. So we've been trying to find a way around this Senate blockade for a long time.
Malloy says she also voted for the extension of the Foreign Intelligence and Surveillance Act this week. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 58 points, sitting at 49,594. S&P up by 35 points. The NASDAQ right now up by more than a full percent, up by 268 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Maria, I'm looking at a live shot of southbound I-15 approaching Center Street in Provo. The 3 left lanes are closed either due to a crash or a disabled vehicle in that center lane. It's backing up into the S-curves. Also delays for drivers northbound I-15 from South Salt Lake into downtown. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf on our local soil, IFA's 4+ lawn care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Nice weekend to finally get that yard work done. A high tomorrow of 74 degrees, 77 degrees on Sunday, then a chance of rain, 50% chance of rain on Monday. 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The longest shutdown in American government history is finally over. After 76 days, a measure to fund the Department of Homeland Security has been signed by President Trump. The proposal passed the Senate a while ago, and the House finally approved it last night. In the compromise, DHS will be funded except for ICE and parts of the Customs and Border Protection. Republicans had spent the last few weeks working on a separate measure to fund those agencies that can be passed without support of any Democrats, and this week agreed to pass the compromise budget. ABC's Jay O'Brien broke down what is in the funding bill to the ABC podcast Start Here.
And the way it ended was without any pomp and circumstance, without any ceremony, without even a tense vote. It just ended in what's called a voice vote on the House floor.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.
And the ayes had it, and it passed. There weren't even that many members of Congress in the chamber. And remember, this is that deal. Originally, it was a bipartisan deal that funds every single agency inside the Department of Homeland Security, just not ICE and Customs and Border Protection, the two agencies that are critical in President Trump's immigration crackdown. But it does fund the TSA, it funds FEMA, and it funds all of those various agencies at a time when the clock was really running out. They've been paying TSA agents and FEMA employees and other DHS workers with money that was given really to immigration enforcement in President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act last summer. They've been moving that money around inside DHS's budget. And what the new Secretary of Homeland Security said not long ago was that come the first week of May, next week, that money was going to run out, and you were going to run into the same situation you were in some weeks back with TSA agents, other DHS employees not getting paid and calling out sick and causing all of those issues that we saw.
Democrats had tried to force reforms at ICE by refusing to fund the DHS as a whole, but those reforms have not been passed.
To understand how we got here, you've got to go back months.
We can overhaul DHS to rein in ICE.
In mid-February, the Department of Homeland Security shuts down. And Democrats in the Senate at the time, because the battle's being done in the Senate, the funding had already passed out of the House, said, we are not going to vote for DHS funding unless there are reforms to ICE because of, for example, what we saw in Minneapolis and in other American cities.
It's really in the hands of the Democrats. We're ready to move.
That back and forth negotiation goes on for weeks, and they don't get anywhere. Republicans and Democrats don't agree to any reforms to ICE. So then finally, at the end of March, there is this compromise deal where Republicans and Democrats in the Senate come together and say, after a lot of false starts and deals that came together and fell apart, that they would fund every single agency inside the Department of Homeland Security, just not ICE and Customs and Border Protection.
It's not the way to fund the department, Mr. President. But we are out of time for the critical responsibilities and tens of thousands of workers currently going without pay.
That passes in late March after a lot of consternation, and it goes over to the House, and House Republicans don't like this deal at all.
This gambit that was done last night is a joke.
We will not accept what the Senate sent over.
They say, you're doing a deal that doesn't have any immigration funding in it. What are we going to do? And so Republicans in the Senate and the House then come to this other deal amongst themselves saying, we'll do funding on immigration enforcement on our own without Democratic votes. And that will be a parallel process to funding all the other agencies inside DHS, including the TSA. Finally, on Wednesday night, late at night, Republicans in the House pass this blueprint for that immigration funding. And then they say to themselves, OK, we've made enough progress. Now we are going to pass this legislation that had been sitting on their desk for weeks to fund the rest of the Department of Homeland Security.
So after all of that, what did we actually get in the end? What about those thousands of workers who went without paychecks for more than 2 months? Jay says lawmakers from both sides continue to cast blame on this 76-day partial government shutdown.
What we've been seeing up here on Capitol Hill are lawmakers on both sides of the aisle acknowledge that there's blame really on both sides of the aisle here.
You heard me trash the bill when it came over the first time because it literally was drafted in the middle of the night. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when they came up with the final language, and it was haphazardly drafted.
There was this consternation amongst House Republicans, for example, rejecting a deal in the Senate that they ultimately agreed to that didn't really need to happen, right? They were pushing back on a deal that ultimately became the one that they had to vote up and approve. They will say that they acted in the best interest of getting that immigration funding over the goal line.
We're going to protect the homeland, even though Democrats are unwilling to do it.
On the flip side, Democrats, think back to the beginning of this DHS shutdown, were holding back their votes, demanding reforms to ICE.
The American people want to see the mask come off. The American people want to see body cameras turned on.
There have been no reforms to ICE. Now, Democrats are still framing this as a win because they're saying they forced Republicans to pass a funding package that right now doesn't include any immigration funding.
It is about damn time that you come forward and do this. We proposed this. I proposed it 79 days ago.
But Republicans ultimately, if they can get together, are going to pass that immigration funding on their own at some date in the future.
ABC's Jay O'Brien on the Start Here podcast. Midday continues in just a few minutes.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
You can get your soil tested this weekend for free, thanks to the State Health Department. It comes following concerns about lead in the soil, which could make it into your body through contaminated soil or veggies from the garden. Lead is most common in older neighborhoods where it's seeped into the soil, as well as in heavily trafficked areas where lead spreads through gasoline.
The current state of the science shows that there is no safe level of lead. But again, you can take very common, easy steps to protect your health and your family's health in reducing your exposure to lead. And then again, we also just encourage pregnant women and families with children under the age of 5 to do a blood lead test.
State toxicologist Alejandra Maldonado says while lead-based paint is no longer used, there are residual effects from its use.
The issue has been that lead-based paint kind of wearing down, and it creates lead dust inside the home and then also outside of the home as well, and that's kind of how it gets into the soil. But again, we also used leaded gasoline. And so if you live near a more heavily trafficked place, that can also increase your risk of having high levels of lead in your soil. So a heavily trafficked area, and the closer you are to like a road. And then also we have a lot of historic mining in the state. So, smelters and mines have also resulted in the release of, heavy metals in our environment as well.
Health officials have identified areas where there is a higher risk to lead exposure. Maldonado tells KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa an interactive map of those areas is available on their website.
So there are definitely certain risk factors, especially in urban environments. Because of homes built, pre-1987, most commonly have lead-based paint and also leaded pipes. So if you live in an older neighborhood, the risk factor of having lead in soils is much higher.
Now, she says there are health risks for those who are spending more time in their yards.
We are mostly concerned with protecting children from lead in soil because they do actually play in soil, and sometimes they actually do eat soil. It's called soil pica behavior. So that's one of the reasons that we try and do some education and outreach regarding it. Kids have a lot more hand-to-mouth behavior. They're out, playing in the dirt and have a higher likelihood of accidentally ingesting some of that soil and could potentially become poisoned by lead. So if you're an adult, the risk is much lower compared to a child. So usually we recommend that children below the ages of 5 get tested for lead. However, if you are an adult and you do stuff in your yard, or if you have a garden, again, you're interacting with that soil, you also are at a greater risk of, potentially contaminating or exposing yourself to some of that lead.
She says the free lead testing will take place on Saturday at Wasatch Community Gardens.
So we provide them recommendations based on what their planned use of activity is for that soil. So if they are planning on doing some gardening, depending on the levels, we might just recommend some general practices like using gloves when you're out gardening, making sure that you wash your hands, after working in your yard or your garden, making sure that any produce that comes from that is thoroughly rinsed before you eat it. And then just, taking off your shoes before you enter the home to kind of keep that dirt from being tracked into the house, using a different set of clothing, again, to kind of keep that dirt from entering into the home. So some really general, easy practices that you can do for safe urban gardening.
Now, if you're concerned about your possible exposure, you can bring soil samples to Wasatch Community Gardens tomorrow and get guidance on how to reduce your lead exposure risk. If you find yourself single and ready to mingle, especially as a divorced person, turns out May and June are the best months to start dating. We'll break down the results of a new survey with a dating coach. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio, and it is emergency traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. What's happening, Michelle?
This is southbound I-15, Maria, in the S curves in Provo. This is due to a disabled vehicle that was blocking the three left lanes, I should say, as you're approaching Center Street. Still backed up to almost UVU. In Salt Lake Valley, southbound delays at the South Interchange, and northbound headed into downtown. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. I'm Michelle Rowan, the KSL Traffic Center.
This Mother's Day, skip the flower bouquet that wilts by Wednesday and give Mom something she'll really love all season long. Living flowers are the perfect gift that keeps on giving. While cut flowers fade in just a few days, a beautiful hanging basket, stunning container garden, or a colorful set of flowers for her garden beds will bring her joy every single morning she steps outside. Now that's a gift worth giving. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with love and care for over 80 years. Right now, we're loading up your local garden center with tons of flowers, just in time for Mother's Day. Gorgeous hanging baskets, bold container plantings, and everything Mom needs to create the yard she's been dreaming of. Give Mom the gift of living color this Mother's Day, because she deserves blooms that last. Follow us on Instagram for ideas and inspiration, and find your local garden center that carries plants from Olson's at OGG.com. That's OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. If you were looking for love and are recently divorced, this is the season to start dating. A new survey shows May and June are the most common months to begin seeing someone after divorce. To find out if this is true, we turn to an expert on the subject. Lonnie Harmon is a licensed therapist and dating coach.
Yes, I can confirm that this is a real thing. I think we see this nationally too. We see a spike in people starting to date in kind of late spring and early summer, the May-June trend. So nationally, this happens, and Utah is just following that same trend. But I feel like Utah is even more pronounced because we just have a really unique social and cultural rhythm here. We have a heavy influence from just the pressures of being married, having family, having partners. It's a both internal, I feel like, pressure and external pressure to not stay single too long. And it becomes just a talking point for everybody after divorce, or even sometimes during a divorce, is when you're going to start dating again. Have you thought about starting to date again? And so I think that can really accelerate this re-entry into dating.
Harmon says part of the equation is the warmer weather and opportunities to meet in person.
Spring and summer really just multiply your chances of meeting somebody in person. When we come out of this winter isolation, we're going to be moving more towards in-person events and going to more things. And Utah's singles dating event scene has really picked up over the last year. And so there's a lot more opportunities to meet in real life. And I think that's another huge benefit to why people are going out. And then if you look at it from a perspective of just specific to divorce, single parents have a hard time finding time to date. And so when kids are out of school and maybe they're on a break from some of their after school activities, there's going to be more availability for them to date.
She also says there's a stigma that still exists around divorce, especially here in Utah.
What's wrong with you? Treat people trying to assign blame to themselves or to their partner. And so sometimes the desire to get into a new relationship can feel accelerated as an evident, like I'm trying to prove that nothing's wrong. But I think in general, we're just a state where people like to partner. You know, there's more emotional stability. There's, clearer opportunities to get past the loneliness phase and just, partner, move on, move forward. And I think people just have a huge desire for connection, and it's a huge talking point amongst family as well as friends and coworkers.
But Harmon warns singles not to jump too quickly after divorce. She says it's important to analyze what went wrong in your marriage before you begin to date.
I think that getting out there is a great idea if you have done your initial phase of grief. It shouldn't just be, I'm no longer legally married. It's, I've made sense of my role in the demise of this marriage, and I can take responsibility and accountability for it. So they're not just jumping into serious relationship too quickly, but also get in real life. My number one advice to singles nowadays, especially divorced singles, is get in real life. When you're divorced, depending on what age you started dating, but let's say that you're divorced after 40, you dated in a completely different climate than you're going to be entering. And people are not quite as tech savvy, and so they are more trusting online, and so they can build relationships with people, and they're much more likely, in my opinion, to be catfished, to get into situationships, to overgive, overpromise, all these things to people that they haven't met in real life and really vetted.
Lonnie Harmon is a licensed therapist and dating coach. A popular music streaming service says it's trying to crack down on music generated by artificial intelligence. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
Spotify now says it's going to hand out special verification check marks to artists on the platform, intended to distinguish human-made music from AI-generated content. The company says it's taking into account signifiers of human behavior, like whether the band in question has tour dates or a social media presence. Spotify says it'll be a slow rollout, meaning if you don't see a green check mark next to an artist right now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's AI. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Researchers at the University of Utah, at Utah State University, are on the verge of an electric breakthrough that could help EVs save money and charge while also helping the environment. We'll learn more about this coming up in the next hour of Midday. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs just a few hours away. The Mammoth hoping to come back from 2 straight losses against the Vegas Golden Knights.
And the team's ready. They seem like they've talked it out. They know that in order to get to a Game 7, somebody has to be down 3-2 in the series and make a big win in Game 6. And Utah's ready to do it. They know they've been in these games. They're not getting blown out. They're competitive, and they're ready to win tonight.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, May 1st. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the plaza at the Delta Center about to become the scene of a massive watch party. We'll get a live check-in on how fans are feeling about tonight. Also this hour, oil and gas prices have climbed since the onset of the war with Iran, but this week has been particularly brutal for the pocketbook.
Oil this week still trading at well over $100 a barrel, and right now the national average at $4.43 a gallon. That's up 37 cents from a week ago.
More on the high prices coming up in about 20 minutes. But first, our top stories. A former Utah death row inmate was back in front of a judge today. He's set to receive his third sentence for the same murder later this year. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Douglas Lovell was initially given the death penalty in 1993 for the killing of South Ogden resident Joyce Yost 8 years earlier. But since then, the Utah Supreme Court has overturned his death sentence twice, including as recently as 2024. Now he needs to stand before a judge and jury again this summer as he faces a possible death sentence for a third time. His latest sentencing was pushed back after his lead defense attorney withdrew from the case in March. Today, Lovell appeared in court virtually from the state prison while his new defense counsel discussed plans for the upcoming sentencing hearing.
The hearing is scheduled to happen in August. Our top national story from ABC News. The 60-day deadline under the 1973 War Powers Resolution has passed, and despite concerns from some lawmakers, President Trump told reporters he won't be seeking congressional authorization for the Iran war. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
The law calls on the president to end his use of the military if Congress doesn't authorize force within 60 days. President Trump says he won't be seeking approval.
We're always in touch with Congress, but nobody's ever sought it before. Nobody's ever asked for it before.
Congress was asked to authorize force after 9/11 and before the Iraq War. Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins says the law's 60-day deadline's not a suggestion, it's a requirement. It's a concern the president shrugs off.
I don't think that it's constitutional what they're asking for.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Today, the president also told reporters that he's not impressed with the latest peace proposal from Iran. Meantime, while there appears to be no movement in ending the war with Iran, there is movement at the gas pump.
Well, we've been seeing oil and gas prices climb since the onset of the war with Iran, but this has been a particularly brutal week when it comes to those prices. Oil this week still trading at well over $100 a barrel, and for 2 straight weeks now, we've also seen oil futures climbing. Right now, the national average at $4.43 a gallon. That's up 37 cents from a week ago.
Here in Utah, you'll pay about $4.39 a gallon, up 2 cents from yesterday. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day down 152 points, more than 0.25%, sitting at 49,499. S&P up by 21 points. The NASDAQ up by 222 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Michelle?
People trying to beat the rush to get out of town. Southbound I-15, you're already seeing those delays at the South Interchange. Once you get past that, though, you're looking good into Provo and beyond. On the northbound side, we're also thick and slow as you're making your way from South Salt Lake into downtown. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 67 degrees and an overnight low of 41, 74 tomorrow, 77 for the high on Sunday before chance of showers returns on Monday. 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Amanda, every business needs IT help, and sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't, or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure. So both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com. Thank you for joining me for Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We do have some breaking news here on KSL News Radio. A man has been arrested for setting fire to a home while people were still inside. Police say multiple people were living in the home in Syracuse and were evacuated before first responders arrived. They say the fire began in a room rented by Eric Gilley. After searching the room, investigators believe Gilley used medical alcohol to start the fire. Police later found Gilley in Layton, who told them he had no knowledge of the fire. KSL Sports. Just a few hours left before do or die for the Utah Mammoth. Tonight they play here at home against the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. If they lose, then it's game over for the team this season. But if they win, they'll get one more chance at glory on Sunday. Tonight is going to be a party, a big bash of sorts in the plaza in front of the Delta Center. And that's where KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman is right now. And she joins me live. So, Reagan, describe for us what you're seeing right now.
Maria, we're still 6 hours away from puck drop, so it's definitely early, but they're already setting up a great party. There's live music that's doing a bit of a sound check. I'm sure you can see that or hear that. And there's food trucks, there's booths being set up. I've seen quite a few people take a picture with Zamith Zamboni, who is set up outside the Delta Center again. And I've seen even more people already wearing Mammoth gear go to the team store trailer and buy more Mammoth gear. So people are getting ready.
Okay, so tonight's going to be a little bit different than it was the other night. I understand that they're going to have the game up on the big screens in front of the Delta Center.
Yeah, it's super exciting, Maria. If people weren't able to get a ticket, they can still watch the game live at the Delta Center. They're going to be broadcasting it with live sound and everything, so that people who weren't able to get inside can still be a part of the Mammoth family, be a part of the energy. I'm sure the Delta Center is going to be teeming with people in their Mammoth gear, eager to cheer on their team. If the previous showing to these parties says anything, it's going to be crazy tonight.
All right, you have been covering this for us for the last week or so. So describe how you think this is going to be different than past nights.
Maria, I definitely think there's going to be a little bit more tension. Like you said, it's do or die tonight. I think that some of our other games, we had a little bit more wiggle room and people were very, very confident, very, very excited. I'm sure we'll see some of that confidence and excitement still, but a little bit of anxiety too, because people don't want their hockey season to be over.
Right. I'm curious about the big screen and how many people they think are going to actually turn out to watch it there on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what numbers they're expecting, but there's been crazy numbers showing up to the pregame parties at home games so far. The Delta Center Plaza has been pretty full, so I'm imagining it'll be a similar turnout. There's also different restaurants and bars throughout Salt Lake City that I know do watch parties, but I think that the Delta Center is the place to be. Live music, there's going to be a hype crew, there's a beer garden. I'm sure that there's something for everyone here, and you can be so close to the team, even if you can't make it inside.
All right, and unlike the last home game, really nice weather tonight.
Oh, thank goodness, Maria. It's not raining on me yet.
All right. Thanks, Reagan. That is KSL's Reagan Edelman joining us from outside of the Delta Center. Ahead of the game tonight, KSL spoke with the host of the Utah Puck Report, Jay Stevens. He says the Mammoth are prepared for the matchup despite losing 2 straight games in the playoffs.
And the team's ready. They seem like they've talked it out. They know that in order to get to a Game 7, somebody has to be down 3-2 in the series and make a big win in Game 6. And Utah's ready to do it. They know they've been in these games. They're not getting blown out. They're competitive, and they're ready to win tonight.
Now, Jay says the team is ready, but are they being too confident about their chances tonight?
I don't think they're overly confident. I think they know it's a tough road. Vegas is a really good team, just a couple of years removed from winning a Stanley Cup. They've got some real champion pedigrees on that team. They know it's going to be a tough fight, but they also know that they have some champions on their team as well. Our captain is an Olympic gold medalist, and he's won at every level, and they're ready. They know that they can compete with this team. They know they can beat this team. They've already beat them twice. And it just takes 2 more wins to get to the next round.
With the team being rather new, it has a lot of younger players. And even though they've made it this far, there's still a lot of claims that the team as a whole lacks maturity.
Yeah, I would have agreed with that maybe in game 1. There are some times in game 1 that maybe you saw them panic a little bit and not be as comfortable as they could have been in game 1. But, these are young kids, but they're maturing every game. And I think they're even maturing every shift. They're just some really good players. And they're talking about Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther, who are super young, 21 and 22. And you're seeing them actually kind of come out of their shell a little bit. Not that they've been in a shell, but they're getting their playoff legs, and they're looking like future superstars for sure.
In this part of the championship between the Mammoth and the Golden Knights, how has the scoring been? Pretty standard, a little lower than normal, or above average?
This year, all the games have been higher than normal. Typically in the playoffs, everything gets shut down, and you're seeing a 1-0 or a 2-1 or maybe a 3-2. To see so many games be 5-4 and 5-2, and like what we saw last night, it's a lot more goals. So that's good for the fans. The fans love seeing goals, usually if it's your own team scoring it, but at least it's a lot of fun to see a lot of goals.
Jay Stevens is the host of the Utah Puck Report on KSL Podcast. Tune in to Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News coming up at 4:45 for another Mammoth Minute. Brought to you by Trucordia, a nationwide insurance brokerage based here in Utah. Trucordia Insurance Solutions to help protect what matters. Stay with us. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet Store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet Store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet Store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet Store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet Store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet Store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
As we look to the primary elections next month, we're taking a minute to talk about a part of the elections that you might not think about too often, judicial retention. Here in Utah, we vote on whether to retain judges or dismiss them from their seats. Before you fill out the ballot, you can read about each of the judges from the Judicial Performance Evaluation Commission, or JPEC.
JPEC is an organization that's out there to provide information to voters on judges. It's a really thorough analysis that JPEC does. JPEC takes surveys from lawyers. They take surveys from actually courtroom staff and from jurors. And then they compile that information in a confidential manner. And I won't dive into the weeds of how they do that, but they actually try to redact information about that might indicate who was actually filling out the survey. But then they provide this to judges really at 2 points. The first point is kind of halfway through the judge's term, is my understanding, as like a constructive thing for the judges to be able to look at where they're doing well and where they can improve. And then this information is also given to judges and the public when a judge is up for retention election. And as Jim mentioned, look, there's a lot of information there that helps voters make decisions about whether or not they want to vote to retain a judge. And obviously voters can rely on whatever information they want, but the bar thinks it's a great place to start for a whole lot of information about judges. And the last point on that, JPEC looks at, a judge's legal abilities. It looks at their demeanor in the courtroom, how well they treat both sides, a whole bunch of different factors, and then they give that information to judges and the public, and they can make their decision about whether to retain judges based on that.
That's Utah State Bar President-elect Tyler Young. He joined Inside Sources this morning to talk more about the process behind the review and how you can best be informed about casting your ballot in June.
So JPEC has a website. I don't have the domain off the top of my head, but if they just look up JPEC or Judicial Performance Evaluation, and Greg, you said committee commission. I'm embarrassed to say
right.
I need to know. Yeah, sorry. But if they Google that, they'll be able to look up every judge that's up for retention election, and they can find that information there on the judge. And that's, if they're just dipping their toe into it, that's certainly a good place to start, and where the bar would recommend folks start. I'd also point out that commission it's the commission that makes the recommendation whether or not to retain a judge, because they actually make recommendations to the public on whether or not judges should be retained or not. That commission is a commission appointed from all three branches of our government. So the governor's office, so the executive branch, some members of the judiciary, as well as members of the legislature. So it's supposed to be non-biased and just to provide great information to the public. So if you're dipping your toe, that's a real good place to start.
Tyler Young is the president-elect of the Utah State Bar. Primary election day is June 23rd. With summertime right around the corner, some kids are opting to clean up the parks rather than playing in them. The story of one group of Utah County kids coming up after the break. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Michelle?
It's already getting busy out there, Maria. Southbound I-15 looking at the delays at the South Interchange earlier than normal. Now, if you're headed northbound I-15, looking at some unusual slowing in Lehigh right around 2100 North, and again making your way into downtown. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowan, the KSL Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick, because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
911 coming.
exactly what happened?
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I push through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Gas prices up again, several days in a row now, the highest prices we have seen in 4 years. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze analyzes the exploding fuel prices.
Where I'm looking right now at the sign, and you can see exactly how this pain is being felt across the country. We've got gas here close to $4.50 a gallon. Diesel prices are approaching $6 a gallon here, and these are moves that have been dramatic just in the past few days. When you look at the price hikes in gas across the country, we've seen the national average now above $4.40. It's up 35 cents in a week. I mean, that is a big move in a short amount of time. You know, we're talking $1.46 since the start of the war. And really, kind of the big picture here is that there are places in the country where it's even higher than that. You got California now with gas above $6 a gallon on average. Several states approaching that $5 mark or above it too. So this is something that a lot of households and businesses, these fuel costs continue to go up because of those moves higher in oil. And they hadn't planned for this. You know, 2 months ago, gas was just below $3 a gallon on average. So this has been a pretty big shock to the economy.
Now, gas and oil prices have been rising for a few months now, ever since the conflict with Iran began and the Strait of Hormuz faced blockades. So why now? Why are the prices jumping so drastically right now?
Really what it comes down to is that there's typically a couple days lag between the oil price spike and gas price spike. So some of this is really just the catch up in the spike in oil that we saw even at the end of last week, now coming through at stations across the country this week. There are a couple other issues too. You know, some refinery issues in the Midwest led to pretty significant price increases in a couple of states there. But the big picture is that this is all about those moves in oil. And right now, we are in the middle of the biggest oil supply shock in history. And this has now been going on for 9 weeks. Nobody going into this, all of the oil analysts I've been talking to for a long time, way before this war even, would have told you that if we were 9 weeks into the Strait of Hormuz being virtually closed, they would have thought oil would be even higher than it is now. They were predicting $150, $200 a barrel oil. One of the key reasons why it's actually not that bad is because the U.S. is exporting a record amount of its own oil. The U.S. is producing a lot of oil and it's sending it out to other countries. That's helping to kind of temper some of the, what could have been a really even bigger price move. But at the end of the day, it's still not enough to make up for the oil that's not moving through the strait.
While the oil prices continue to rise, the stock market has also been doing okay. Sure, it's had some ups and downs, but it's still in a stronger place than it was a year ago when President Trump took office. So how's this kind of disconnect working?
It's a really great point. There is now much more of a disconnect between what's happening in the oil market and what's happening with stocks. And a big part of that comes down to corporate earnings. We're in the middle of earnings season on Wall Street. So this is when all the companies kind of put out their quarterly results. They say if their revenue is on track and what they're looking for going into the rest of the year. And the biggest companies in the world, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, reported blockbuster earnings, really all centered around AI and their investments in AI that they say are paying off. And those stocks, by the way, make up about 40% of all of the S&P 500. So if those stocks go up, the S&P 500 generally goes up. But that does reflect a broader theme, too, where there is this disconnect. We also got just yesterday the latest GDP numbers, which showed a huge surge in business investment. So companies investing in AI and AI infrastructure. But you got a lot of other parts of the economy, including consumer spending, not looking quite as strong as that.
Now, if you're looking for the best gas prices, and who isn't nowadays, Schulze says your wholesale clubs tend to have the lowest prices, but she cautions folks to remember that places like Costco and Sam's Club also have higher membership fees.
So we did the math for you on this one. Let's use New Jersey as an example, where as of Thursday afternoon, the average price for a gallon of gas was $4.27. So we checked out a gas station at a Costco in New Jersey. The price there was $3.99. That's almost 30 cents cheaper just by going to that Costco than the state's average. If you use a Costco credit card, you're going to save another 5%.
ABC's Elizabeth Schulze there. Today, AAA says the average price for a gallon of regular unleaded gas is $4.39. For diesel, it's $5.42. As kids prepare for summer, many are planning to spend some good time in the parks. But in Springville, a group of kids isn't playing in the park, they are cleaning it. KSL News Radio's KSL's Andrew Adams, I should say, has more on this grassroots effort to make the Art City sparkle just a little more.
As we found out, it was awfully hard to keep up with that crew of kids.
Wait, not everyone!
At Spring Creek Park, it was an unlikely grassroots effort.
Oh yeah, bags are over here.
These 10-year-olds had a clear objective.
Everyone have a bag? Yes. Go!
Even when they didn't have a clear direction.
No, Raylan! Stay away from the soccer fields! Go that way!
They were on a dead sprint to clean up the trash. An idea by kids, for kids.
And I think it just came from our brains, basically.
The CCC, the Cool Cleaning Crew.
We originally just started an after-school playing club, and then we started realizing there was trash everywhere.
The Cool Cleaning Crew, comprised of 3rd and 4th graders from Meadowbrook Elementary, now visit a Springville park each week, collecting
tons of garbage!
Seriously, it feels like an Easter egg hunt. They're so excited. You would think it's candy and eggs and not garbage.
Wait. Oh!
Not every man's trash is treasure.
Like over there, I found a good bag from like Walmart, and there was tons of dog dookie in it.
But the true riches are found in life's lessons.
We don't do it for the money, but for the world.
They don't do it for the money, but they do it for the treats.
The parents say it's a positive way to focus all that energy.
I literally found shoes.
Something that shouldn't simply be thrown away.
They get to be outside and they get to clean up our city. It's really cool.
Well, the group says they'll continue to hit a park every Thursday, and that will continue into the summer. So we're going to keep those kids busy.
All right. What a fantastic use of free will, and what a fantastic example for all of us to clean up after ourselves. I just hope they're wearing some gloves.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A move to electrify Utah roads to help charge electric vehicles. We'll get details on a project underway at Utah State University. As we look ahead to the weekend, I'll be joined by the Arrow's John Smith to take a look at the cool stuff that you can do in Utah. And KSL traffic, Michelle.
Slow down southbound I-15 from Salt Lake into Midvale. Maria?
And the forecast for the weekend looking very, very nice. 74 for tomorrow's high, 77 degrees on Sunday.
ABC
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. The future of Spirit Airlines is up in the air as President Trump says his administration is still considering a taxpayer bailout.
Well, I guess we're looking at it. If we could do it, we'd do it, but only if it's a good deal.
The Wall Street Journal, though, says the airline is preparing to cease operations. In a letter to Congress, the White House says the military operation in Iran has been terminated. It's day 60 since the U.S. attacked, and 60 days marks the point under federal law where the president's required to get approval from Congress to continue using military force. But President Trump today also called that law unconstitutional and said that he's considering more strikes against Iran, calling the latest proposal unsatisfactory. The organization in charge of the Oscars addressing AI and its new rules, saying that humans have to be at the center of the creative process, but that AI tools neither help nor harm the chances of getting a nomination. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. UDOT says it's going to open one additional lane in each direction on Pioneer Crossing between Lehigh and Saratoga Springs 2 months ahead of schedule. The change will go into effect on Monday. This should significantly improve traffic moving through one of the most congested roads in Utah County. The road will continue to be under construction through the rest of the year as it is turned into flex lanes. Other local stories KSL is following. 13 Utah counties have been designated as natural disaster areas. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
These counties are being singled out for their extreme drought conditions. A majority of them are in the southern half of the state, but it's not limited to the region. Northern counties including Wasatch, Duchesne, Tooele, and Uinta are also on the list. This designation is actually a good thing for the state overall. It allows the Farm Service Agency to extend emergency loans to these areas, providing relief for those areas recovering from natural disasters, or in Utah's case, drought. The loans can be used to help the county recover in multiple ways, like buying new equipment, livestock, or refinancing. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A man was attacked while walking his dogs, and Layton police are looking for answers. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson has the story.
Police say the attack Tuesday night was unprovoked. They say the suspect struck the victim several times and stole a knife that the victim was trying to defend himself with. It happened near Hillfield Road and Antelope Drive, and Layton Police Lieutenant Clint Bobrowski says they're working on canvassing the area and using surveillance footage to piece this story together.
The victim did not sustain serious injuries, and they don't believe that there's a continued threat to the area. This week was a busy one for Congress with a visit from King Charles and multiple important bills, including funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Representative Celeste Beloy was on the Hill this week, and she told Inside Sources about the end of the historic government shutdown.
A lot of the ICE reforms they said they wanted were already in the bill. Some people dug in too early before they had read it, but as with all things political, once you've dug yourself in, it's hard to get back out. So we've been trying to find a way around this Senate blockade for a long time.
Malloy says she also voted for the extension of the Foreign Intelligence and Surveillance Act this week. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ended the day down 152 points to end at 49,499. S&P up by 21 points. The NASDAQ up more than 0.75%, up 222 points. Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Deserve to love where you bank. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Still looking at slowdowns for drivers southbound I-15 scattered from downtown to the Midvale area. On the flip side, looking at slowdowns on the northbound side as well as you're approaching the curve at the point of the mountain. Make your way into downtown, and we have a fresh crash. This is Bangerter Highway eastbound at 200 West in Draper. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high 67, 74 tomorrow, and 77 on Sunday. Very slight chance of showers moving in on Sunday, but a 50% chance of showers on Monday. 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Researchers at Utah State University on the verge of an electric idea. No, it's not a new kind of light bulb. Sorry, Thomas Edison. Instead, it's cutting-edge technology where the road you drive on could actually charge your vehicle. KSL's Brian Carlson has a closer look at Utah's powered pavement.
The future of electric cars. No plugs, no cords, no waiting hours to charge. The road does it for you. It's not just a pipe dream of tomorrow. It's being developed right here at the Aspire Engineering Research Center at Utah State University, entirely focused on wireless charging.
Both in terms of a stationary wireless and then also what's called dynamic wireless. As the vehicle drives by, it quickly gets a zap, so to speak, and that can help propel the vehicle to keep going.
James Campbell, the Chief Strategy Officer with Aspire, explains electronic magnets built in the ground give cars a charge and a push.
And it can propel it for about a quarter mile, then you need another charge, then another quarter mile.
This is pretty amazing technology. This is the track here at Utah State where they're testing different tech to charge cars and trucks as they're moving. And then a wireless charging dock that can fully charge an electric semi-truck in half an hour.
Just like with your cell phone, you just put it onto a pad so you can drive your car up to it, you can pull in there and you can receive a charge without having to plug in.
For this tech, semis traveling longer distances and hauling heavy freight could park and power up.
So this is a receiver pad that is coupled with the system we have out in our track.
Engineers on the project tell KSL it requires rethinking the road.
Roadways in the future could become something much, much more than just asphalt that we drive on to get from A to B.
He explains electrifying the road is no different than installing other utilities currently underground. In one version of the tech, rubber transmitter pads are placed 6 inches under the asphalt, charging any receiving car above it.
The receiver pad has a coil in it, and it receives that and turns it back into a voltage.
Engineering students at Utah State are part of the development.
It complements the classroom so well, so I learn the theory in class, but then I get to apply it here.
A hands-on education they plan to look back on with pride.
Just look to that future and say, hey, I was a part of this when it started, and how exciting that is.
But it's not just something being worked out in a lab. A fully electrified road is operational right now, being field tested here at Utah's Inland Port in Salt Lake City. This quarter-mile stretch at the port's west entrance can charge any equipped car or truck while it's moving.
This is just one part of the charging solutions that Aspire is bringing at this location.
Mona Smith, the port's environmental and sustainability director, says the next step is finalizing the megawatt pad to rapid charge heavy semis. The port believes it's the perfect place to introduce the technology to the world.
The goal is really to prove that fast charging solutions for heavy-duty battery electric vehicles is possible.
Technology developed in Utah's backyard, practically on our doorstep.
I think this is one of those things, like you're not going to notice it happening until all of a sudden it's there.
An electric idea, grounded in Utah, moments away from becoming reality.
Aspire plans to roll out this technology in full at the Utah Inland Port late this summer or early fall. They expect the average everyday driver, they could see it in person in the next 10 to 20 years.
KSL's Brian Carlson reporting. You can see the roads in action, get a better idea of how they function by checking out Brian's article at ksltv.com. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's Friday. Time for cool stuff in Utah with the Arrow's John Smith. And John, what have you got for us today?
So I was thinking, what we could do today? We could talk about some of my favorite episodes.
I would love to do that.
Because we've been doing cool stuff in Utah for now 5 years. We just completed our 5th season.
Wow,
Can you believe
congratulations.
That? I know.
It's a long run.
It makes me feel so old.
That's nothing.
But we've seen some amazing things. We've been through the tunnels below Ogden High School. We've been up in the Capitol Dome above the rotunda.
I want to go up there.
Oh my gosh, it's so neat. So
Think
one
I
of the
could convince
things
the governor to let me go up there?
It took me 2 years.
So no.
To convince them to let me in the dome.
Right.
And the funny thing about inside the dome of the Capitol Rotunda, which this is all on film, by the way. We put these on the Cool Stuff in Utah series, is you go up in there and there's graffiti from the 60s from when kids snuck in there and painted, like I Love Nixon is one of the things, and they painted their name. And this was either 1969 or 1970, I forget. But it was somewhere around there. Nixon lives is what it says. So we got to see, a very rare view of the city from up right above on top of the rotunda, on top of the dome. And then seeing inside of it was something that very few people ever get to see.
That is what's been so fun about your Cool Stuff in Utah videos. You're taking us places that we can't normally go.
That's the idea.
Yeah, so you mentioned 5 years. You mentioned a couple of places you've been, but I want to hear a few more.
How about underneath the tunnels below the Salt Lake City County building?
Right.
There's a tunnel there that leads over to what was the Leonardo. At the time, it was the jail. So names like Ted Bundy may ring a bell. Joe Hill, who was a famous pro-union activist back in the early 1900s. He was executed by firing squad. The tunnel that they would have used to get to the courtroom is still there. It's still underneath the city streets here in Salt Lake City. Speaking of Joe Hill's execution, by the way, that would have been at the old prison in Sugar House Park, which is another episode of Cool Stuff in Utah that we talk about, where the old prison used to be.
So many great episodes. Do you have a favorite?
My favorite, probably one of the Lagoon episodes, just because I'm a sucker for theme parks. We've got 3 different episodes on Lagoon, just because it's a locally owned, family-run theme park, one of less than 10 left in America.
Mm-hmm. So take us behind the scenes. What's something you learned about Lagoon that none of us would ever know?
Let's see. About Lagoon, one is that it's a year-round operation, right? You assume that they close the doors in the off-season and they just go home. Nope. They work on that park 365 days a year. And I don't know if you've noticed, but they add a new attraction every single season.
And
that's pretty amazing. A lot of those are designed right here in Utah.
Are they going to run out of space?
No, not anytime soon. They have lots of real estate up there to work with.
All right. Anything else you want to tell us?
Can we talk about what's going on this weekend?
I think we should. It's the weekend.
Because my beloved Utah Mammoth, they've got Game 6 tonight. If you don't have tickets, there is a free watch party outside the Delta Center. This is a must-win game.
It is. Tusks up.
They cannot lose again to the Vegas Golden Knights. If they win tonight and win the next game, then they advance. But if they lose either of those two games, they are eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I love just the excitement they have brought to the community. So fun to root for these great players.
And then there's a blippy at the Eccles. I don't know what a blippy is.
A blippy?
It's a thing for kids. He's a dude that dresses up. His name's Blippy.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I don't know. He's like a Teletubby.
Families are going to want to see Blippy.
He's a Blippy.
You can find all of John's Cool Stuff in Utah videos on the Arrows website and on YouTube. Coming up after the break, we'll share a special announcement with you about this show. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Michelle, back in emergency traffic?
Yes, this time we're up in the Ogden area at Riverdale, to be more exact. This is at the I-15, I-84 interchange. Traffic is really backed up in both directions going north and southbound. Right now, the worst delay, though, is for drivers making their way from Marriott-Slaterville headed down to the I-84 junction. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Looking for a little extra excitement this week? Head to ksl.com/win and enter our weekly contest for your chance to score some incredible prizes. This week, you could win a beautiful necklace from Duke's Jewelers. Enjoy a $250 dining experience at the Roof Restaurant or grab tickets to the Disney World's Collide Tour. It's quick, it's easy, and you could be our next big winner. Don't wait. Visit ksl.com/win and enter today.
This Mother's Day, skip the flower bouquet that wilts by Wednesday and give Mom something she'll really love all season long. Living flowers are the perfect gift that keeps on giving. While cut flowers fade in just a few days, a beautiful hanging basket, stunning container garden, or a colorful set of flowers for her garden beds will bring her joy every single morning she steps outside. Now that's a gift worth giving. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with love and care for over 80 years. Right now, we're loading up your local garden center with tons of flowers, just in time for Mother's Day. Gorgeous hanging baskets, bold container plantings, and everything Mom needs to create the yard she's been dreaming of. Give Mom the gift of living color this Mother's Day, because she deserves blooms that last. Follow us on Instagram for ideas and inspiration, and find your local garden center that carries plants from Olson's at ogg.com. That's ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place.
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
Where survival. It's dark now. I have nothing. Is never certain. This is not good. My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle.
It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. 1 year ago, we launched this show as a way to go deeper into the news, to tell the stories of everyday Utahns, and to get to the heart of the issue on the top stories of the day. It's been a massive undertaking, one not normally seen in our industry. From working 12-plus hour days in the beginning to hectically running back and forth to interviews, putting the show together has been a challenge. Okay, don't get me wrong. We have loved every second of it. It's been worth it. But as with all things, times change, and today is our last show. Having said that, I need to express my deepest thanks to my executive producer, Andy Cupp, who has worked long hours to make the show so good. I also need to thank our technical producer, Corey Miller, whose attention to detail has made the show run smoothly. And also a big thanks to our team of reporters and producers who have also made it possible. And I want to thank you, the listener, for spending your afternoons with us. As we wrap up this final midday show, we wanted to take a few minutes to remember the amazing run that we've had over this past year. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp has a recap on how we broke some of the biggest stories while also shining a light on otherwise unknown issues.
Over the last year, we had a unique opportunity to cover some incredibly difficult breaking news, like the murder of Charlie Kirk. Maria Shilaos actually broke the news as it happened right here on Midday, maintaining composure and professionalism as she broadcast live, largely off script, for several hours.
Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University campus this afternoon. We just heard from that witness. He was actually answering a student's question in kind of a question and answer. And the Associated Press is reporting that he's being treated in critical condition. An earlier report from the university said that they do have a suspect in custody, but we are still working to confirm that with law enforcement. The university says the campus is closed, classes are canceled, and anyone on the campus at this time is asked to secure in place until police can escort you safely off the campus. So if you're on the campus and you're listening, stay put. They are still trying to secure the campus, make sure that there aren't any more bad actors.
In the days that followed, we took deeper looks at not only the investigation itself, but also the impact the deadly shooting had on students at Utah Valley University.
How is the university helping those who are in need?
As you can imagine, this has been a shocking and tragic event for our campus community. So we are all, even though campus is closed right now, we are all pulling together to get resources to our students, our faculty, and staff.
Other impactful stories, including the deaths and memorial services for 2 law enforcement officers in Box Elder County, Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen.
This morning, a service celebrating and honoring his life taking place at the Utah State University Spectrum in Logan. Officer Estrada was just 32 years old. He is survived by his wife, 2 children, parents, brothers and sisters, and many other extended family members. His funeral filled with both grief and gratitude, from law enforcement salutes to deeply personal family memories.
Sometimes going deeper on the news meant looking at different perspectives, like how to support military families who may have loved ones serving in the war in Iran.
And having these people who are willing to jump in and help with carpool, help do some childcare moments, even if it's an hour or two, so that at home spouse can have some time alone.
And sometimes the news meant talking one-on-one with you, the listener.
We do have Jessica on the line in Saratoga Springs. Jessica, what did you feel?
I just gotten into my car and my car started rocking side to side, and I thought, is someone messing with me? And I looked and there was no one around, and I sat there for a second. I was like, is this an earthquake? So then I called my mom to ask her what earthquakes felt like.
One of Maria's biggest goals with this show was to highlight regular Utahns, like this man at the Living Traditions Festival who makes wooden Mexican masks.
I learned this
wood carving as for my dad, for my grandpa. And my dad says his grandpa is the one that started doing it, as far as we know. So, of course, I learned this by you have to do it. You have to do it when I was a kid, but I never want to do it. I want to go play with my friends.
Or discussing holiday traditions for Utahns with backgrounds from overseas.
One of my favorite traditions, and I think many Norwegians here and abroad celebrate, is called julebakst. It's where family and friends get together and bake. There's another tradition in Norway where you kind of are expected to have 7 different types of cookies on hand for the whole season. So at julebakst, you get together and you make all the cookies you're going to need for the month.
Or even previewing the annual Greek festival.
It's a weekend that we're able to showcase our authentic and classic Greek hospitality. Everyone knows Greeks to be hospitable. That's what they're known for. And we definitely, I believe, demonstrated that. But it is also an opportunity for us to welcome, again, the greater Salt Lake and even all of Utah to our community.
Now, you may not know this, but that special on the Greek Festival actually helped Maria win a major award called a Gracie. It's a national award that recognizes the amazing achievement of women in media. And it was the first time Maria won the award, and we get the pleasure of going to New York City next month to pick it up. While covering the news can be serious and can often feel depressing, we get it too, we won't lie. It was important to us that we had a little fun here and there.
We like to eat, and goats also like to eat. And we have our favorite foods, and goats have their favorite foods too. And so it's just fun to see them like looking for their favorite stuff first and going for it.
As for the goats, they say the work is not so bad. Such a fun story.
You know what they say. No goats, no glory.
Oh, my goodness. You are the queen of the pun.
I do my best.
Although, to be honest, sometimes I had to force Maria to have a little fun. Like when I forced her to read a bunch of weird names for Unique Names Day.
And I truly believe that this is my producer's intent to make me just feel as uncomfortable as possible with not being able to pronounce some of these things. So here we go. I'm reading these cold. Apologies in advance for how I might butcher these. I can't even get through the word butcher right now. Okay, so here is the first one. This Peighton, P-E-I-G-H-T-U-H-N. Night is supposed to be Peyton. Oh my goodness. Nate, N-E-I-G-H-T. For forest. Espen, is that right? Espen, E-S-P-N. Bexley, you're just back from vacation. You're laughing at me already. I know that this was.
Espen, that's beautiful.
When we began this show, neither Maria nor myself really knew how much work it would take to get it off the ground. Putting this program together Monday through Friday wasn't for the weak of heart, and it definitely resulted in blood, sweat, and tears. But we prevailed and never shirked. It's just not what we do. We carried the torch high and long until today. Now, a lot can happen in a year, which can make it difficult to really cover everything we did here on Midday. But through it all, no matter what we covered, we hope it made an impact. Thank you for being a part of this show for the last year. And thank you, Maria, for being a fantastic partner. There's no one else I would have rather done this show with than you. For Midday, I'm Andy Cupp.
Okay, Andy,
KSL
that
News
is
Radio.
Unfair. I have not heard this before, so I'm going to be a little bit emotional for a minute. But thank you for being a part of this show, for giving us your feedback, for listening each day. It's been a joy and a pleasure. Okay. And stay tuned in a couple of weeks because we have a big announcement on a new project that I'm working on. And just know that I'm emotional. And this is Andy's fault. And I remain committed to, really sharing important stories with you, connecting communities, and giving a voice to the voiceless. And I will be around for Utah's noon news, so make sure you tune in for a look at the top stories of the day. And of course, KSL Greenhouse Show tomorrow morning, 8 to 11. And thanks so much for listening. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is up next. Have a great weekend.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. 64 glorious degrees. We have a bright blue sky. KSL's top story. Utah is now preparing for a dangerous fire season ahead, but there's a silver lining. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson has details on today's official fire outlook.
In an effort to ease traffic for the northwest part of Utah County, which has seen an incredible amount of growth over the past couple years, Pioneer Crossing is expanding from 2 lanes in each direction to 3. Then, starting May 10th, drivers can expect some overnight closures, so UDOT can install the overhead lighting structures for flex lanes. They hope to implement flex lanes.
I apologize. That is the wrong story. We can tell you today, Governor